At the 5th Division headquarters, an unexpected event occurred, and no one was prepared to witness it. In the usual atmosphere of military training, which is typically harsh, rigid, and filled with instructor shouts, the atmosphere suddenly shifted to silence, full of emotion, leaving behind tears. Jungkook finally spoke up, and it was these simple words that made Jimin unable to hold back his emotions. In the middle of the training field, the two friends, who had been through everything together, showed a side rarely seen: vulnerability, fear, and honesty. The question is, what exactly did Jungkook reveal that made Jimin cry and touched the hearts of ARMY all over the world when they heard it? It all started with the routine physical training session. That day seemed to go as usual with morning runs, push-ups, and martial arts training. However, since the morning, the atmosphere felt different. Jungkook, who is usually full of energy and fire, appeared calmer than usual. Even Jimin, who is always cheerful, seemed to steal glances at his friend several times with a look full of questions. A few days earlier, Jungkook had taken an unusual leave. As someone who always wants to finish everything perfectly, that leave became a big question mark for Jimin. When the martial arts training session began, the real surprise happened. The two of them were paired up for a one-on-one fight. All the soldiers gathered to watch. Usually, the battle between these two legendary idols was an exciting spectacle. But this time was different. When the instructor gave the signal, they started moving with technique and caution. But in the middle of the duel, Jungkook suddenly stopped. His breathing was heavy, his eyes a bit glassy. All the soldiers went silent, holding their breath. Before anyone could understand what was happening, Jungkook slowly walked over to Jimin and hugged him tightly. Silence suddenly enveloped the field. There were no shouts, no orders. Even the instructor stood still. Stifled sobs were heard from some corners. That moment wasn't just a hug. It was an expression of thousands of emotions that had been bottled up. Jungkook was holding in a burden that he had never shared with anyone, including Jimin. And at that moment, he let it all go. Jimin, with a slightly trembling body, returned the hug tightly. His tears began to fall. "I just feel like time is moving too fast," said Jungkook with a heavy, almost breaking voice. A simple sentence, yet heart-wrenching. Over a year had passed since they joined the military together. It felt like just yesterday they entered, and now the end was drawing near. Jimin gently tapped Jungkook's shoulder, holding back the tears that were beginning to fall, then whispered, "We're almost at the finish line. You're not alone." After that moment, the training continued as usual, but nothing was the same anymore. The soldiers who witnessed the event began to realize that behind the megastar figures of Jungkook and Jimin, there were ordinary humans who also felt fear, anxiety, and exhaustion. Some even admitted to silently crying in the barracks that night. "I didn't know much about BTS before," said one soldier. "But after seeing them today, I understand. It's not about fame. It's about a friendship that never wavers." That night, in the barracks, the atmosphere was quiet again. Jimin stared at the bed next to him, where Jungkook lay silently staring at the ceiling. Usually they would joke about food, share stories about life after the military, or just laugh lightly. But that night, Jungkook remained silent. Finally, Jimin dared to say, "You know, you can talk to me anytime, right?" Jungkook let out a slow sigh. "I don't know where to start, Hyung." That answer made Jimin choke up. He realized, perhaps for the first time, that his friend was truly scared. Not scared of the tough military training, but of life after all of this ended. After nearly 2 years of living in the military routine, Jungkook had to return to a world full of expectations, stages, cameras, fan hopes, and the pressure to be perfect. Jungkook, the golden magne who could do anything, was also afraid. What if I've changed? What if I can't go back to being who I was? Jimin looked at Jungkook for a long time, then gently patted his back. "We all change, Jungkook. It's part of life. But you won't face this alone. You have me, we have the members, and we have ARMY. No one expects you to be perfect. They just want you to be yourself." The next day, another surprise came. Jungkook and Jimin were called by the military administration to receive an official letter from Bang Si-hyuk, the founder of HYB, and a father figure to BTS. The letter contained a message that shook their hearts. I know this hasn't been an easy time for you. As the end approaches, you may feel confused, scared, or anxious about what lies ahead. But know this, the world does not await you with demands. The world awaits you with love. No one expects you to return perfect. They just want you to come back as yourself. I look forward to the day we meet again, without pressure, only pride. Reading that letter, Jungkook couldn't hold back his tears. Jimin hugged his shoulder, then said with a small smile, "Even Bang Ptnim believes in you. Now it's your turn to believe in yourself." That moment didn't only make Jimin emotional, but it also touched the hearts of ARMY worldwide. The story spread across social media, and the hashtag #WeBelieveInJungkook became the #1 trending topic globally. ARMY cried, not out of sadness, but because they finally realized the heavy burden Jungkook had been carrying all this time. They flooded social media with messages of support. You're not alone, Jungkook. You don't need to be perfect, just be yourself. We're waiting for you to come home with a smile, not pressure. Now, with only a few months left before they complete their mandatory military service, that emotional moment will always be remembered. A hug on the training field, tears that couldn't be held back, and honesty that was finally revealed serve as a reminder that even a global superstar like Jungkook is a human who can feel fear. And by his side, there is always Jimin, ready to embrace and support him. The question now is Jungkook ready to return to the big stage? The answer may not be certain, but one thing is clear, he will not return alone. He will return with the trust of those who love him unconditionally. And for ARMY, that's more than enough. However, after reading this touching story, a question arises that cannot be ignored. Did all of this really happen? Did the emotional hug between Jungkook and Jimin in the middle of the military field, accompanied by tears and sincere confessions, actually take place? Or was this merely a story carefully crafted to gain sympathy and media attention, then spread across various platforms to chase sensation and virality? We understand that this event has been widely discussed on TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, and several other platforms. Video clips, photos claimed to be evidence, and even transcripts of conversations supposedly from eyewitnesses are scattered across the online world. But have you ever wondered, how much of this story can truly be held accountable? Were the eyewitnesses really at the location, or are they just part of a chain of stories strengthened by public opinion? We all know that BTS is a group with an enormous attention magnet. Every move they make becomes a headline. So, is it possible that this emotional moment was intentionally exaggerated to maintain their presence during their mandatory military service? Could it be that their management company, or even international media, helped embellish this story to create a humanistic image that invites empathy and heartfelt emotions? Let us reflect together. How often do we, as the public, become targets of stories that may not be factual, but are presented very convincingly? Are we part of a larger scenario carefully orchestrated by the media? Moreover, let's ask ourselves, if that emotional moment really happened, why is there no official documentation from the military confirming it? Why is all the evidence only sourced from anonymous accounts on Twitter or blurry video clips that are difficult to verify for authenticity? Who benefits from the spread of news like this? The media? The agency? Or even the global fandom that wants to maintain BTS's euphoria and presence in any situation? We also need to honestly tell you that the information we have summarized comes from various open sources. However, its truthfulness still needs to be tested and verified. On one hand, we all want to believe that two friends who have been together since their teenage years truly showed their fear and weakness sincerely. But on the other hand, is that emotion truly pure, or has it been calculated to become a perfect story in the eyes of the public? Have you ever wondered why such stories always emerge before major moments, like nearing the end of mandatory service, anniversary debuts, or big comebacks? Coincidence? Or a scenario that has been carefully planned? Now is the time to challenge yourself. Are we too easily swept away by emotions? Are we critical enough to question whether this is a fact, or just a modern-day fairy tale with emotional seasoning? Are we sharp enough to distinguish between what really happened and a narrative that has been intentionally built? We invite you not to just be a passive reader. Reflect on your reactions. Did you cry reading the story? Did you feel moved without questioning the source? If yes, then you have already become a target of a very powerful narrative. The question is it wrong if we are moved by a story that may not be entirely true? The answer is not as simple as yes or no.